So after uploading Rust Console's updates that will come, or that we believe will come to the game through patterns that D11 kind of leave in terms of Discord and through the dev blogs that are on their website, I saw a recurring comment that kept on creeping up on my notification saying this user commented this, and that was drop old gen for Rust Console. And this isn't a topic that is recent by any means. This has been going on for well over a year and a half. I mean, near the game's inception, people were saying this game should be on new gen only. Now let's kind of just break it down as to why people are saying that new gen should be the only console that has this game and old gen should be left behind, and the reasons why it's not just new gen only, and why they optimize the game for both consoles, as well as is it a good idea if this went through and happened. So let's look at the time period in which the old gen and new gen consoles came to be. Xbox One S is one of, if not the latest old gen console that you can run Rust Console on. This was first introduced in the year of 2016, 8 years ago now. So as we know, 8 years is a long time and games evolve year in, year out. Just take a look at Rockstar's games, for example, and how GTA plays on old gen compared to how it plays on new gen. Now, we can't compare D11 to Rockstar because that is outright ridiculous. Two completely different, I'm getting off course here. My point is, where is gonna be the time where D11 sit down and think old gen need to be cut off, whether it due to them holding back the game or when a substantial enough player base is new gen? Now, if we look at just Christmas time, the last 2 or 3 Christmases, a lot of the community has been hopping on to the train of new gen, and rightfully so. It's just, you know, how things go in terms of the course of a console's lifespan. You go from Xbox 360 to the Xbox One, then you have the Xbox One S, and now you have the Xbox Series S and Series X. At some point, you are going to have to invest, save up, or however means get to the next gen console. You're not going to be able to play games that are going to be made in 2 to 3 years time on the same console you're playing on, whether it be the Xbox One S or the Xbox One. That's kind of just the truth of it all. Not everyone can afford these consoles. They're getting more expensive, and of course the specs of the consoles are getting better. In terms of the Series X, for example, that is a lot better than the Series S. Now, if we're talking about making Rust Console specifically better because old gen is holding it back, there is a big enough argument for Series S holding it back as well. There'd be more of an argument for it to just be wiped from the lower budget new gens and the old gens, and just having it specifically on the highest price consoles, being the PS5 and the Xbox Series X. That is where you're going to get the best graphics and the best optimization for the game, which simply isn't the case in reality. Now, whilst I don't have the data figures in front of me talking or showcasing the amount of players or the ratio of new gen to old gen players, I can safely say it is getting more and more new gen dominated than old gen. As I said, 2016 is when the latest old gen console was released, and we are now coming up to 2025 as we've just hit 2024. Where's going to be the cutoff point for these old gen consoles? You're not going to really see GTA 6 come out on the Xbox One or the Xbox One S. They're going to be on the new gen consoles. But let's talk about why, you know, Rust Console isn't going to be cutting off old gen players anytime soon. And this is mainly due to the player base on old gen at the moment. I would like to say there's a lot of people that are still on old gen, although I do think there's more people on new gen. It's kind of like when I see people in conversations talking about how there's very little cheaters in the community, they are also the same players that will say more of the community is on old gen than new gen. They're just waffling. A lot of it is down to money. And as well, it would be pretty hard to just completely switch and cut off from old gen to new gen. I don't really know the process and the ins and out of the process going from cutting off a complete generation console and then just having it for a new generation console. I don't know the process of cutting off and how hard that would be and the long-term effects of that. However, a lot of it is down to money. And, you know, people on old gen consoles are still pumping money into D11's pockets to make this game. The thing is, with Rust, in general, the game, the concept, it is a very demanding game, running 24 hours of the day, having multiple players come into these servers. It requires a lot of the systems, and it's a very demanding game. So to have it optimizing on both new and old gen is a really bad idea. And as time goes on, it just gets more and more pointless for this game to keep on old gen consoles. To me anyway, it's just completely pointless. The more the years go by, the more games are coming out that are for new gen only, that are running a lot smoother and better. Sure, it won't be as good as everyone believes it will be because we have the lower budget new gen consoles, but let's talk about those differences to the consoles that are considered old gen. There is a big difference. Here's the thing with these game developers nowadays. They deliberately make the game so good to be run on these new gen consoles that it's kind of just left in the dark for these old gen players and the consoles. There's a lot more glitches that arise and people are pretty much forced to invest in these new gen consoles. And it feels as if, you know, it's not the case with D11. It feels as if it's making the new gen console players even more frustrated and pissed that they're just holding the game back themselves. And because Rust Console is not a game you can just end and then be like, we'll then develop and then release a new one, like your Call of Duties, your FIFAs, your NBAs, your Maddens, it's not going to happen. But sure, old gen is slowing down the progression of this game. It's slowing down the progression of pretty much all games and game developers, hence why saying this, that they have glitches that are more apparent in old gen consoles than new gen, because old gen are really struggling to run this game. At the end of the day, there's so many problems with Rust Console, such as the cheating problem that is not really going to get fixed anytime soon, that, you know, you might as well have the game run as smooth as it can. It might make up for legit players not wanting to play the game. They might come back because the game is smoother. They want to play the game at its best, optimizing it as the console or new gen console they have was built for. That might just bring them back to play the game. However, it doesn't look like we're going to get something like this at least for the next 2 years. Unless I'm, you know, still living under a rock. No one really knows the true contract date that they're going to be cutting off old gen. I doubt D11 are going to release that until it comes to the point where it's time for this such event to happen. But at the end of the day, you need to invest in these new gen consoles, just like people did with Xbox 360s to Xbox One and now to the Xbox Series S or X. It's just how, you know, gaming industry and the community works. And Rust Console is really being left behind because of this. They're still going to get money regardless, because new gen is becoming ever more apparently popular, and due to, let's say, GTA 6 coming out within 2 years, let's say, do you know how many people are going to invest in new gen consoles to play that game? Because it's just not going to be on old gen, let's be honest here. It's going to skyrocket sales for the Xbox Series X and S and the PS5. What better time to then transform Rust Console to new gen only, with the skyrocketing sales in new gen consoles for everlasting popular games such as Rockstar's GTA. It's just a win-win in my eyes. Maybe I'm, you know, totally wrong on this front, and any of you that are watching this video are punching your screen kind of like, shut the fuck up, you're really getting on my nerves because you're just not right whatsoever. Please leave your comments down below. If you know any better than I do, leave them below and let's have a conversation about it. Are you for or against Rust Console being a new gen only game? Thank you for watching. As always, thank you for your support. Leave a like, subscribe if you're new around here, leave a like on the video, it helps out massively. Join up the Discord, we've got over 1,000 active members. The link is in the description, as well as all my socials, from my TikTok to my Twitter. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.